Okay. Now this one is so unbelievable, and I really had to think about it for a second. I'm like, really? Is that really what people think about Turkey? That's 100% bullshit. Hi guys, how's everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Resh, and I'm running a YouTube channel that is all about languages and me. My life. So as most of you guys already know, I was born and raised in Germany, but both my parents are Turkish, so I am a Turkish culture guy, kind of. And in today's video, I want to talk about 10 misconceptions that I've heard so many times about Turkey that I just thought, okay, I really have to make a video about this. For those of you who are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, smash the like button, and also follow me on my social media. I'm on Instagram and on TikTok. So that we got this out of the way, we can jump right into the video. So the first thing that I hear a lot of times is that people think that Turkey is an Arabic country. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is not the case. We are located in East Europe partially and partially in West Asia, but to make that clear, we are not an Arabic country. Even though Turkish has a lot of words that have Arabic roots, the cultures are not the same cultures and the language is not the same language. I mean, we used to have Arabic letters up until the year of 1928, but in that year, founder of the modern Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, switched over to the Latin alphabet, and we're using the Latin alphabet ever since. I personally don't like to hear it when people think that Turkey is actually an Arabic country. It's not that I don't like the Arabic culture or Arabic countries. On the contrary, I have a lot of Arabic friends, but it's just that it gives a very wrong idea about Turkey in general and the Turkish culture. So as for the second misconception that I want to talk about is that people think that Turkey is a religious country, so that it's ruled by Islam. And this is not the case either. Even though 98% of the country are actually Muslim, Turkey is a secular democratic state. I'm not trying to say that Islam doesn't play a big role in Turkey. Yes, wherever you go in Turkey, you will hear the azan, which is the call to prayer. You will see a lot of people praying, but the state itself, the country itself, is not being ruled by the religion. So by saying that, I also want to point out that there is a freedom of religious beliefs in Turkey as well. We have churches everywhere and we have obviously mosques. I don't see that many synagogues, but that's probably because we don't have that many Jews in Turkey. I'm not really sure of that. I might be oblivious to those kind of things, but it's not a religious country because a lot of people think that we are being ruled by the Sharia law or something. That is not the case. So okay, as for the third statement is that a lot of people believe that Istanbul is the capital of Turkey, which is not the case. I mean, Istanbul is probably the nicest city of Turkey, at least for me though, because I live here and I just love this city. It's the largest city by population of Turkey, with more than 16 million people officially living here. But whenever you ask a cab driver in Turkey, they will tell you, oh, what are you talking about? We're more than 20 million, which probably is the truth because you have also a lot of tourists and also a lot of different people living here without being in the official statistics. The capital of Turkey is actually Ankara, which is kind of in central Turkey, whereas Istanbul is in the western part of Turkey, and at the same time is the only city in the world that is located on two different continents, with the Bosphorus Bridge being the only bridge that connects two different continents in one city. Not trying to say that Ankara is better or worse than Istanbul, it's just the capital and Istanbul is not, even though Istanbul is probably the most known city of Turkey. Okay, another misconception that really throws me off is that people think that we have deserts and camels in Turkey. I'm pretty sure there's not a single desert in Turkey. I'm not too much into geography, but I'm pretty sure that there is not a square meter of desert in Turkey, and I've never seen a camel, and I've traveled quite a bit in Turkey. There are probably some camels somewhere as a tourist attraction, probably, though I'm not 100% certain. It is not that we're in Egypt or somewhere in an African country near the Sahara. It's just a wrong idea of Turkey. I mean, again, I'm not trying to say that the idea of a desert and a camel are bad. It's just a wrong depiction of Turkey. It's just a wrong picture. Just get that out of your mind. There are no deserts, no camels. professionals. Okay, another thing that I heard a lot is that some people assume that nobody ever drinks alcohol in Turkey. And some people even think that alcohol is prohibited by law. That's not the case. We have a lot of heavy drinkers. I mean, even our national liquor, rakı, is very popular in Turkey. You will see a lot of people drink alcohol in Turkey. I mean, obviously there are religious people who don't, or who just don't want to publicly identify themselves as drinkers, but there are obviously some conservative areas in Turkey where it's not so common to actually show that you drink alcohol, but that's probably the same kind of situation in any other country. I don't know. I mean, generally, wherever you go in Turkey, you will see people drinking. You can go to a bar and drink, and people who live here drink the same amount of alcohol as in any other country you might know. It's not like, I think there are countries where alcohol is banned. I think in Pakistan, alcohol is actually banned, but in Turkey, it's not the case. As I said, it's a secular democratic state. Don't ever think that we don't have alcohol. We do have a lot of alcohol here. I mean, yeah. I'm gonna go get a glass of wine right away. Okay, another thing that I hear, it's actually not 100% of a misconception. It's about Ramadan. Okay, so Ramadan is a holy month for Muslims, and since 98% of the population of Turkey are Muslims, it is an important month for the people here. But I hear a lot of times that, oh, you're not allowed to drink or eat in public, and you shouldn't even offer anybody to drink or eat something during Ramadan. Well, it's not that strict. I mean, okay, there are some conservative areas in Turkey where you shouldn't really do that, okay? Let's say you go to a village somewhere with a population of 500 to 1,000 people, then it would probably not be the right thing to eat in public or drink in public when it's Ramadan. But in like the modern parts, which is 90% of Turkey, like there is not a big problem. Restaurants and cafes are open everywhere, but you will see some places who don't really like to show off that people are eating and drinking, right? It's like a thing between the modern ones and the conservative ones. There are people fasting, there are people who are pretending to be fasting, and then there are people who don't fast, and also people who don't even care about all of this. But generally speaking, if you're a foreigner, there is not going to be a single person who's going to be mad at you for drinking or eating in public, because they will understand that you're a foreigner. But if you're, let's say, a local and you aggressively eat and drink somewhere where it's not so polite, I mean, it's a thing. You really have to feel a vibe in that area, okay? So as for bigger cities and more modern cities, there is not a rule like that. So it's like no one really cares. But the more conservative the place you go to gets, the more of a problem it could become. But the biggest problem would be like people staring at you, like looking at you like this. What is he eating? Right? Nobody's gonna come at you and slap you for eating, especially if you're a tourist. I mean, it's a thing. It's hard to tell. It depends on the situation. It depends where you are, and it depends on the people around you. If you see people eating and drinking, no one's gonna care. Mostly in bigger cities, no one really cares. Okay, another thing that I hear is that Turkish people don't speak English. Well, now here I am kind of divided because, okay, this is, I think, partially true and partially wrong. And that's because to some extent, I could definitely say that Turkish people don't speak English that well, generally. Since I'm teaching English and I can actually compare the English skills of Turkish people to other nations. That's mainly because English is totally different. Like, that is just very hard for Turkish people to learn and acquire a European language. However, there is not a single place that you will go to in Turkey where you speak English and people won't understand you. They will obviously understand you. Whatever area of tourism you go to in Turkey, you will definitely have people understand you. They probably won't be grammatically 100% correct, but they will definitely understand you and also reply to you. So, and also what I think the strength of some of those people who work in the touristic areas is that they speak multiple languages. I mean, they're not fluent in every single language, but they know how to communicate at least a little bit in many languages, and that's why you won't get lost in Turkey no matter where you go. And I have a lot of friends, a lot of foreign friends who live in Turkey who have never had a problem communicating in English, actually. But I would definitely admit that the English skills of Turkish people are rather low compared to European languages. Okay. Now this one is so unbelievable, and I really had to think about it for a second. Like, I'm like, really? Is that really what people think about Turkey? Basically about polygamy, because people think that a man can get married to 4 women at the same time in Turkey because of the Sharia law. But as I said, there is no Sharia law in Turkey, since Turkey is not an Islamic state. It's, again, I'm saying it's a secular state. So you cannot get married to more than one person. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You can get married to a woman as a man and then get divorced and then get married to another woman, but you can't get married twice. So that doesn't work. So there is no man in Turkey that has 4 women at the same time. No polygamy. Yeah, sorry to disappoint some of you freaks out there, but that's not the case. So yeah, Turkey is more of a European country, like, as you can see. Okay, and now this one I think is very crass, that people actually believe that women have to wear headscarves and burqas when they're in public. That's 100% bullshit. Some women decide to wear headscarves or burqas. Burqas are not that common in Turkey, by the way. You will see some women wear burqas, which I personally believe is a little bit horrifying, even as a Muslim man. But headscarves are being used by women, but it's not that you have to. Like, you can wear anything. You can wear, as a woman, you can like wear anything you want. You can wear a crop top. You can wear like short skirts, whatever you want. That's like so not Turkey. What some people think, really, like, some people believe that we're like an Arabic country ruled by the Sharia law and women don't have any rights. I mean, just like in any other European country, some women are being discriminated, but it's because of the people, not because of the law or the system. You see that women are paid less in working positions, less than men. You see that in America, you see that in Germany, and you see that in Turkey too, unfortunately. Women and men are still not equal, but they're as equal as in any other European country or in Western or any other Western country. Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear because I see a lot of people still having like those bad images of Turkey. And I'm not trying to make you guys think, oh, Turkey is such a great country, but it is a great country though, but it's not a country like some people out there actually believe it is. Okay, the last thing I've heard is that someone said, you should never talk about politics in public in Turkey. Well, I would totally endorse that because it definitely leads to nothing. Everybody in Turkey has a political view. Everybody has an opinion. Where I believe that some things are so obvious, like that every human being with a brain should be rooting for a specific party or for a specific view, or especially against a specific party or against a specific view. I still see enough people who are being brainwashed because they're just not educated enough. And I actually don't want to talk about the parties themselves or the beliefs themselves. It's just, it gets really, really violent sometimes. Like, whenever you try to defend a position, try to defend a view, the other person who thinks in a different way, he's not going to be convinced whatsoever. Like, nobody is willing to be convinced. Everybody has his own view, so it's definitely most of the time a waste of time and it leads to nothing. That's why I would recommend to not talk about politics at all, because as I said, it leads to nothing. So yeah, I just wanted to get some things out of the way. I hope I could clarify some things. If you want to learn more stuff about Turkey as a country or the Turkish culture or the Turkish language, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Also, if you have any other questions or any other misconceptions that you want to have clarified, then just leave it also in the comment section. Again, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and also follow me on Insta and also on TikTok. See you guys in one of my next videos. Till then, take care.